parity to just be polite manners. Corner.
Just want to ask you, this soft secular model that you're proposing, in that soft secular model, suppose a Muslim government imposes that kind of soft secularism, would it be within the remit of the government then to, let's say for example, where there are sinners who are free to do their sin, if the government was to then have a program of reform of some sort, not in a direct kind of attack way or a forceful way, but to basically have a program of PR exercises and stuff like that to bring them away from that way of thinking?
No, more than that. What I mean by soft, I'm not proposing anything. I'm going to say it because I haven't thought it through as a proposal. It's just an idea that if in the Muslim country, Islam is in control, it's not the Islam of a particular sect. It's managed in such a way all these sects can have the differences and practice the religion they want to practice. Now, if and when we're able to have that kind of setup, where we can accommodate the different interpretations of Islam and jurisprudence, without imposing one on the others, and non-Muslims have to be accommodated and given their rights as well, then if the Muslims, they have to abide by the tenets, the fundamentals. Islam prohibits alcohol consumption. So whether you're a Hanafi or a Shafi or a Shia or a Sunni, alcohol is prohibited in the Quran. I expect them to then not allow, to make it illegal for such Muslims within that jurisdiction. So the sinners may drink, but they're breaking the law. I expect that to happen. Now, how they want to enforce it or manage it or bring it about, it has to be in a benign way. So you're saying your kind of approach, which is appealing, but they will have the authority. If they have the authority, they have the authority to punish as well.
Isn't that what the Muslim Brotherhood?
We should. We have gone over time. I believe it's 8 o'clock. Oh, okay. So we'll try to take I think there's a bit of a discussion going on in the back. So, okay, now a lot of hands are raising up. So why don't you finish off your question, and then let's try to do one more round of 3 questions, because we have 3 questions. So why don't you finish your question?
Muslim Brotherhood.
I was just saying, isn't that exactly the type of model the Muslim Brotherhood has been talking about for the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years?
That is going to be difficult. I know that's going to be difficult to answer, because my history is that we tried to join the Muslim Brotherhood. And when we memorized the 20 points of Hassan al-Banna, Shaykh Manwar Ali, we read back to back many times the Sayyid Qutb's milestone, and we were inspired. And I started the work in Britain in the 80s, doing this sort of work with that Hassan al-Banna wrote in the selected writings of Hassan al-Banna, those books we read. And we have an ideological kind of understanding, almost romantic. We have another understanding which is political in terms of what we think is happening in Egypt or what they had tried to do. And we have a reality on the ground in terms of the constituents of the country and what is really able to be done. And I fear, and this is just, I'm not an expert in Muslim Brotherhood, even despite that, nor have I researched Egypt or Pakistan, but I know a little bit about Bangladesh as well, because my father was a friend of Ghulam Azam, who you might have heard the name. I fear that the Muslim Brotherhood model is just a model that's my soft secularism is a proposal in a very airy-fairy way. It's not really a concrete proposal I can give to you with things delineated. So the Muslim Brotherhood, that is just a model in the minds of people. It's not realizable, it's not going to work, and the people are such they won't allow it to work. I can't see in any part of the Muslim world that model, whether it's from Muslim Brotherhood or Munawwar's model, being realized, because people are not ready. And one party will try to dominate the other, and there will be more bloodshed if they allow it.
Okay, I think someone over here had a question, then I'll go back to you.
Could you go back there first, maybe?
Okay, sure. You can take the last question there.
In terms of art, you mentioned art, and about how people express art, essentially. So say if there's Muslims that want to depict a picture of the naked virgins of heaven, essentially, in their natural form, essentially, or when people were going around topless and naked around the queue, essentially, before it was when Ali went over and changed it all. So how would you deal with that with a Muslim, with a fellow Muslim, who wanted to express things?
The first sincere answer is I don't know. And that's one of the benefits of living in a country like this, I don't have to actually deal with it. But my son and daughter I can advise in a personal capacity. The second thing is, of course, it will be a representation of, because nobody has seen the virgins of paradise and so forth. So there will a mental conceptualization, an artistic, whatever. So would you allow that creativity, and would there be space afforded for such creativity to come out and be expressed?
Just would you also advocate a sort of religious police? Would you advocate that?
No.
In your sort of
No, but I understand that whoever is in charge, any authority, like the headmaster of a school has to keep discipline. The army commander has to keep discipline with his troops. So every organization structure set up, let alone a country, will have to manage the discipline, things being in order, not breaking down, public interest. It's easy to say, and we can write thick papers saying how Islam will be the best solution and the Muslims are going to be the best at it. But theory is one thing, practice hasn't proven so far. And I haven't seen justice, and even the separation, like even today's news about how so-and-so MP said some bad things to a policeman, the separation of the judiciary and the parliament, and it hasn't happened as best in terms of justice and so on in any other part of the world except in the Western world.
That's true.
Unfortunately, you can say, but to me, why unfortunately? This is, learn, take wisdom and benefit and improve it.
Okay, so a very quick question so we can end, because I think we're now over.
I think what you're describing sounds a little bit like a monocratic system as opposed to a democracy. It sounds like multiple legal layers as opposed to having a singular rule of law. I think that's the impression I'm getting.
A little bit, yeah. Yes.
That's an interesting question. I think...
Because I can't, as a Muslim, I struggle myself in saying that we want to have a fully secular democracy. Because secular to me still rings in my ear with godlessness, that somehow God is relegated. But I understand the practical necessity of a setup like, I'd rather live in Britain with the British system of law and everything, because most of it is Islamic in principle. Even how justice is meted out and how you are judged and both and juries, everything. It seems much more advanced, better, more civilized, if I may use such a strong term. And then I would like to live in Bangladesh or Pakistan or Saudi Arabia.
No, sorry. I think we really... it's been a very interesting discussion, but I do need to close it off, I think, because, we have reached the time limit. And, if you have... obviously, I think the audience, we've had a very spirited and animated discussion. I'd like to thank Shaykh Manwar, I'm sure he's going to stay around so you can have a discussion, a follow-up discussion with him. I'd like to thank Tamina, PMSD, the next generation for the next generation. Apologies. The Network for New European Generation, and obviously Queen Mary as well. I think we've heard a great British Muslim intellectual today. I have no doubt in my mind that his honesty towards the end, where he did not. I think one thing that I would take from this discussion is that there's always this need for a black and white scenario, particularly when it comes to matters of religion. And I think what I take from Shaykh Manwar's discussions is that we have to be comfortable as well with the shades of grey. And I think that's what totally emerged, that the quest to become a better human being or a better society is an ongoing one. And what I appreciated is that he didn't have all the answers. In fact, what he was saying is that let's begin the journey and let's begin the dialogue. And for myself, the only tragedy I take away from today is that Shaykh Manwar doesn't have a larger audience than he does already. And I have no doubt going forward in the future that men like him and people like him and intellectuals like him will command a much greater voice than they have already. And we can only hope for that. So I thank you all, and most of all I thank Shaykh Manwar as well. Please join me.